If you've struggled to play hi-hat barks, like these that you're hearing now and seeing here in this box on the corner of the screen, and you're wanting to be able to spontaneously incorporate these at will into a groove, then today's lesson is for you. Here's the catch though that might be your holdup. You've got to train your left hand to play barks in time with your kick drum, otherwise this whole thing will be a struggle. But don't worry, because today I'm going to teach you the triplet hi-hat bark exercise, which will have you nailing hi-hat barks and able to create your own really cool sounding funky grooves. You can do this. Hey, welcome to The Non-Glamorous Drummer. I help self-taught beginner drummers know what to practice so they can nail songs and become the drummer that others want to jam with. And hey, if you are new to the channel, and especially if you're a beginner, I have a totally free gift for you. See, there's a struggle that we deal with on the drums. If we don't have the coordination where we can, think about four things at once and get all of our limbs to work together, then everything is a struggle. Everything is difficult. Learning songs takes longer, nothing's on autopilot, playing the drums is frustrating. But when you have that four-way limb independence, everything is more fun, it's easier, you can just learn new material and new grooves more effortlessly, and so it's literally a superpower. There's so many superpowers associated with mastering four-way coordination. So hey, I have a free gift for you in the description. This is my 30 days to four-way rock coordination PDF e-guide. And what this does is it gives you a new groove to practice each day that gradually and strategically brings in new coordination elements. So you're learning fun grooves that you'll directly use in songs, which is a lot of fun, while gradually building your coordination. And something I've heard from students who've worked through this, by the time you get to days 10, 12, 15, you really start seeing some radical transformation. You gotta stick with it. You gotta get past that sophomore slump, get at least halfway through this guide, and you're gonna start getting incredible results. And hey, if you get all the way through, even better, but you gotta stick with it. It's okay if you don't, if it takes more than 30 days, that's not the point. The point is that this is step by step. Just focus on one new thing each day, and if you need to spend a couple days on one lesson, totally fine. But this is gonna help you out a ton. Let's build four-way coordination together so you can play what you hear in your head and so that everything becomes easier on the drums. Let's do it. All right, on with today's lesson. So you want to be able to play the cool hi-hat bark ideas you hear in your head, but you're just unable to spontaneously throw them into a groove at will. Believe me, I've been there. I remember being in a place in my playing where I thought that was just the coolest sounding thing I would hear drummers play. And I specifically remember a song, actually, it was called Now That You're Near by Hillsong United from like 2002. I grew up playing in church, and this was a song that we were playing when I was in high school, Now That You're Near, and it has this weird tom part in the bridge with these hi-hat barks, and I just remember it being the craziest thing I was trying to figure out how to play, and it was frustrating, it was difficult. I knew what it was that I wanted to play, but I just couldn't make it happen. And it was one of those deals this was a frustrating thing in my playing until I learned how to play hi-hat barks with either hand, especially my left hand, but also match that with the kick drum. That was a big deal once I learned how to do that. So here's what I mean by this. If you can play a hi-hat bark, which is just a quick open note like this, with either hand, with the kick drum, matching up with the kick drum, then you can theoretically play any hi-hat bark groove you want. So let me be even more specific and clear here. If you can play this or this, that is massive. And when you can learn to play these on different parts of the beat, then you can pretty much play whatever you want to play. And so the triplet bark exercise is going to help you do this. Why triplets? So that you're getting practice playing them with either hand. We're basically going to do this triplet thing where we play a bark on each beat, and so we're trading off playing the barks with the right hand and then with the left hand. And the funny thing about this exercise is that it's more difficult than it looks at first. It's one of those things that's so simple. You could be a pretty advanced drummer and practice doing this and be like, whoa, okay, what's going on? Let me see if I can fix it. This is weird. And so it's one of those things, I had to make sure to practice this before hitting record on the camera, because it was like, okay, let me make sure I can play this, because it so easily gets sloppy. But this is not something out of reach of a beginner. If you're a beginner, this is something you can start working on, and you're gonna have a lot of fun with this, I promise you. Just stick with it. So 4 steps. This is a 4-step lesson here. Step number 1, play triplets on the hats. We're gonna go nice and slow. Triplets are just groupings of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, We're just alternating right, left, right, left, right, left. We're accenting each beat. Triplet, 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. Just like that. Make sure you can do that smoothly. If triplets are a new thing for you, this might be something to just sit here and play over and over again until it feels more second nature, until it starts becoming autopilot. Then step 2, this is where it gets weird. This is where we're going to be incorporating the left foot, which is a challenge in and of itself if you've never used your left foot in drumming. But we're now going to play the beats as open notes. So we were accenting those a second ago. We were going and so on. Ba, boom, boom, ba. Well, now those accents are going to be open notes. That means we've got to quickly open the hats and then close them right back. It's going to look like this. Just like that. Now, what I want you paying attention to is what my left foot is doing. You're probably going to be able to play this most precisely and cleanly by playing heel up on the hi-hat. I've got a lot of argument for why you should do this, a lot of other lessons going more in depth with this. But when you play heel up on the hats, it enables you to very quickly do that kind of thing, a quick hi-hat bark. Versus if you're heel down, it tends to get a little bit cumbersome. I'm all for heel down on the kick drum, but heel down on the hi-hats when you're trying to play quickly, like keep quick time or do quick barks, it tends to just be easier and make more sense and just feel a lot more effortless when you play heel up. Because then all you're doing is releasing a little bit of pressure on the foot plate to then go. I'm kind of just lifting my heel and my foot's not even leaving the pedal. Because that's what we want to make sure we're doing. Foot's not leaving the pedal, we're just releasing the pressure a little bit. And then heel can come back down. So all of that technique, there's so much we can unpack there and talk more about. We've got that in additional lessons that I'll link below so you can check those out. But point is, right now, you've got to quickly open the hats, but not wide. We're not going wide open. Just loosen them a little bit for the bark here at the beginning. And then quickly close it as you hit with the next stick, like this. Just like that. Timing that close with the left stick. Right, left, right. Just like that. Then the next triplet, we're then playing the bark with the left hand. So the open note, we're loosening a little bit to play the open note with the left hand, and then we're timing it so that we close exactly with the right. That might be something right there, just that in and of itself to focus on in practice. Can you close it and hit it at exactly the same time so that it's one cohesive sound? The only reason we're doing that is not for sound's sake, because it doesn't make a difference whether we hit it or not with a stick. I could go like that and ghost it, or I could go, pretty much sounds the same. But the idea is this whole fluidity, continuity thing. We want to keep our sticks in motion, therefore we're going to hit it even when we close it. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to play that again real quick, or real slow rather. And I want you watching. Here's what my hands are doing, but also we're going to switch to the foot cam view so you can also just see what my left foot is doing. Just like that. And as you start to get a little quicker with this, don't be in a hurry to go quick. Focus on slow and clean. But as you start getting quicker, you'll find you really have to be tight and precise with that left foot to make sure you don't get this. It so easily gets sloppy, but we got to make sure the bark is quick. And we're quickly closing it back. And I'm telling you, this gets sloppy so easily. This is where you got to be careful. If you start getting quicker and it just turns into, and it gets into a mess, back off, slow back down, and focus on getting it precise. You don't have to go that fast, but that's where you can go with this. And as you go faster, you really have to make sure you're opening the hats less when you play the barks. Because when you're going quick, you don't have time to open them wide because then it gets sloshy and turns into a big mess. And so the left foot motion is becoming more subtle as we get quicker. You can see how my foot's barely moving. I'm just lifting my heel to lift the pressure a little bit. And also when you hit it harder, you don't need them to be very open to get that sloshy sound. And that's what you're gonna notice in the context of grooves when you actually start using this. Now, step 3. So we've just gone through our first 2 steps, and that second step is definitely no walk in the park. Spend as much time there as you need to. Step number 3, we want to match the kick drum with these open notes, because so many times in music and in songs, when we hear these things happening, those barks line up with the kick, which makes them sound so cool and so intentional. So now we wanna practice doing this. That's going to be super weird for you if you've never done this before. This is not just a natural thing. This is a very much learned skill. I don't think any drummer is just born doing this. It's weird. So practice it slowly. Right now, as I'm going really slow, I am playing with my heel down just because I can when I'm going very slow. You may want to go ahead and lift your heel up there with your left foot just because that's what you'll want to do as you go faster. All the while making sure it's tight. Remember, that is key. That is paramount here. It's got to be tight. If anything funky is going on, stop, put on the brakes, slow it back down, and make sure you are able to mentally process what we're doing here, because this is a big coordination thing. Let's not gloss over that fact that this is a coordination challenge. That's why I want you to grab that PDF e-guide, because that's going to help you out with this. And honestly, those grooves are easier than this. You can work through those and then come back to this if you want to. But we're incorporating both hands and both feet. This is a 4-way coordination challenge right here. So if you're following along with me and you're starting to at least get this happening, give yourself a pat on the back, because this is not easy, and you are already so far ahead of so many drummers that don't take the initiative to take action and do something difficult. Practice difficult things. That's how you grow. So just go really slow with it and focus on. Make sure that bringing in the right foot does not cause the left foot to crash. Remember, we've still got to keep that left foot focused there, even as we bring in the right foot. And that's why slow and steady is always going to win here. And lots of repetition. Do this over and over and over again. Every time you sit down to your kit each day, spend a few minutes just doing this over and over again. Consistency, day after day. And it's going to get more smooth. It's going to get more solid. And now our final step, action step number 4, we want to practice applying this to regular grooves. And really to do this, I want to just share with you a couple examples and a couple ways you can approach this. We've got additional lessons here on the channel about hi-hat barks. We've got a lot of hi-hat bark lessons. And in one of these, we do what I like to call the shifting bark exercise, which is like the shifting kick exercise. We have a lot of these kinds of exercises here tucked into the non-glamorous method, where we're playing something on different parts of the beat so that we can practice playing on the beats, the E's, the ands, the uhs. And that's what we want to do with barks. And so there's a particular exercise. We're not going to go in depth with it right now. But what we do is we practice going. And so on, and loop that again. So we're playing the barks on each part of the beat locked in with the kick. Beats, E's, ands, uhs. And so that can be a cool way to practice it. Also just playing. Adding in a little leg bounce there. When you do that leg bounce, naturally that's allowing you to play some open notes, some quick barks there. And how far you bounce your leg determines how loud and piercing those are. They could be subtle, like that, which sounds kind of cool, or more in your face. And it all comes down to that left leg bounce, also something we talk about in depth in other lessons. So those are ways you can start applying this. Let me show you now. Here's what you can do with this, and here's what you can practice next. So I'm going to play for you just some grooves, some alternating 16th grooves that aren't too fast, that aren't too crazy, where we're incorporating some of this. And so you can see what my left foot's doing and kind of just see the overall approach here. And then there's one other thing I'm going to show you after that. So there's something kind of cool and funky you can do. You can also practice playing fills or just literally 16ths on the snare, reaching over and playing barks on the hi-hats occasionally. So that might mean doing something like 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and playing on the uhs, because then you can go from there into interesting fills that then reach over and hit the barks kind of randomly. That's what's so cool about these kinds of exercises. So all I want to do here is just show you what's possible with this and show you how much cool stuff you can do when you've learned that core fundamental skill of open note here, and playing them on different parts of the beat in weird ways. When you can do that, that is a massively powerful creative skill and coordination skill that allows you to be more creative and play all sorts of cool stuff. So what I want to make sure you understand is that it's fine if you can't play the weird stuff I just played. I just want to show you what you will be able to do eventually as you practice this, and especially as you dive into some of the other lessons on this whole concept of hi-hat barks and left foot coordination and left leg bounce. And as you're diving into that free coordination e-guide, when you're working at all of this stuff, and you do this consistently and you're taking action, which I believe you are, especially if you're still watching this video, I believe you're an action taker and you're going to master this, you're going to excel at this. This is what's possible. You can play random fills and then and you will have so much fun doing this and just feel so encouraged and so empowered that you can be that funky drummer that just sounds so cool playing this. And so, hey, as you go, be sure to grab the coordination guide. I can't stop talking about it because it's going to be so helpful. It's helped so many students. But hey, I got a question for you. Name a favorite song that has a funky syncopated hi-hat bark in it, or multiple, I said that singular, song that has funky syncopated hi-hat barks in it. My favorite is Wait Until Tomorrow by John Mayer. It's from the John Mayer Live in LA record. Steve Jordan on drums. It's got this part where it goes, it's like one of those weird kind of, and he plays it a little bit different each time. You'll hear it. Go listen to that song. It's so much fun. And he actually plays them on offbeats with his right hand. He plays like, kind of like that. And so it's kind of interesting. You could do it that way or you could do it with the left hand. But anyways, that's my favorite hi-hat bark song that's just always inspirational to me to listen to. What is yours? What song can you think of that's got hi-hat open notes, hi-hat barks, really cool sounding stuff like that that's so funky and you're like, man, that's what I want to be able to do. I want you to keep that goal in mind, have that as your motivational target. Hey, I hope this lesson has been helpful to you and super valuable to you. I know this kind of stuff has helped so many students of mine, and I hope it'll help you as well. As always, stay non-glamorous. You can do this. I'll see you on the next lesson.